Okay, can you see this well? Yeah.
Ma'am.
Is that okay? Is that clear?
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay, ma'am. Great.
Okay, perfect. So today we're going to talk about enhancing research practices through interdisciplinary collaboration. Just before I move ahead, I might give a bit of an overview of what interdisciplinary collaboration means, because that term gets used in many, many forums in different aspects, and we sometimes get confused with the difference between interdisciplinary, multidisciplinary, transdisciplinary. So we might delve a bit more on that. And why is it important? Why is it so important to have an interdisciplinary viewpoint when conducting research? And I will skip, I will work on some interdisciplinary collaborations that have created a lot of breakthroughs, and they are here and now. Some of the sciences, that some of the mechanisms that we know have been born from interdisciplinary collaborations. It does come up with its own challenges as well, and we'll talk a little bit on how we overcome those challenges. And then being selfish, I will talk a little bit more on hybrid healthcare, which is my field of expertise. And I classify myself as an enthusiast for hybrid healthcare models of care. We'll talk about some resources and tools for collaboration, and then we'll have some question and answer sessions. Yeah. So, like I kind of mentioned earlier, what does interdisciplinary and multidisciplinary? Because these terms are used very quite often in healthcare space. So, as the diagram shows here, in the interdisciplinary is where we basically draw knowledge and methods from different disciplines in order to create a more well-developed perspective or discover something new. So it's about us coming together and we're creating something new, and we need to be kind of pretty specialized in our fields to do so. Then multidisciplinary, on the other hand, is where disciplines, they work within their boundaries, they work within their disciplinary expertise, and then they come up to solve a particular solution. So that's very well depicted in this diagram here, where you can see the disciplines, they're working in their own sphere and they come together to form a solution. Whereas in the interdisciplinary phase, you can see that they all work between each other, with each other, to solve a particular problem. Now, the next slide over here is how for the interdisciplinarity, basically. So, as I said, there are four mechanisms. What transdisciplinary is, it's a higher level of synthesis. So, when we start from the bottom, which I could say, what does discipline mean? So, we have a set of nursing staff members or students. You then have allied health staff members, you have a medical workforce, so on and so forth. So if as each speciality works within its own stream, that's a disciplinary, and it's a very much siloed approach. We work within our own sphere, we work with our head down, looking at our own work. Whereas multidisciplinary is an additive process. So you add in your nursing workforce, you add in your allied health specialty, you add in your medical specialty, and then you work towards solving a bit of a problem. And whereas the interdisciplinary, it's about an interactive session. Here, all the specialities are given equal respect. So you respect your nursing colleagues, you respect your allied health, your multidis, and you respect the skills that they and the knowledge that they bring into solving a particular problem, and you create something what is new. And then if you add that to a higher level, that becomes a transdisciplinary synthesis. um, I hope I'm not going too fast, but do stop me if I am. So just to give you a bit more example, here, imagine you have an occupational therapist who is very keen on understanding what are the research, looking at a research on preventing falls. How do you prevent falls in a patient? And then you have, on the other hand, you have a nursing workforce that's also doing similar research of preventing falls in patients, because as we all know, there's a huge proportion of complexities when you have falls happening in the wards, especially when you have patients who are delirious, confused. They end up having a fall, end up having a fracture of the nerve, or neck of femur, and then end up having complexities, longer length of stay in the hospital, more complexities, and then eventually, you don't know, there could be hospital related infections, so on and so forth. But if you come back to the situation where you have a nursing workforce looking at research on falls, you have an OT, occupational therapist, looking at falls. They both are working in parallel. They both are lonely in their own kind of pathway of research, and they may make dead ends. They may come across a situation where they don't know where to progress from there. Now, what happens of this is then there's an excessive use of resource utilization. Unnecessarily, if an institution is funding a particular research, you are then putting money or funding towards disciplines that basically may just follow a single pathway. But if you were to introduce a partnership model where you combine or the nursing and many other voices into your research, and then on in addition to that you have your patient voice to it, how best would that work? So you then add the consumer experience or patient experience to this, because at the end of the day, why are we doing research? When, especially in the health space, we are doing research to better enhance our knowledge, to provide high quality evidence based patient care. It is for the patient that you and I, all of us, are here for, right? So therefore, if you involve, so in from where the place where I work, with every research, we always have to have a consumer or a patient engagement in this space. So when you involve patients into this, that's when it becomes from an interdisciplinary to a transdisciplinary work or a research, because it gives you a more higher synthesis of information. So in essence, all disciplinary work is interdisciplinary, but not all interdisciplinary work is transdisciplinary. So you can conduct a lot of interdisciplinary approaches. It can eventuate to a transdisciplinary, because normally you don't achieve the transdisciplinary approach unless you do an interdisciplinary approach. Yeah. So why interdisciplinary collaborations? It's basically to address complex problems. Now, many of the challenges in today's world, we have, it's very complex challenges. It's not a straightforward. If you were to reflect back on your patient, types of patients that you see that you get admitted into a hospital, you do not see many patients who just come to a doctor or seek health advice for, say, diabetes, or just high blood pressure. You nowadays, the nature of the patients or the morphology of the patients that we have do come with complex problems. You may have a patient who have maybe obese with diabetes, high cholesterol, high blood pressure, and heart failure. So, and then you can add some renal content to that as well. So therefore, to address complex problems, we need to have a lot of heads put together to do this, and therefore that requires an insight. Also, interdisciplinary research fosters innovation. Collaborations across different disciplines sparks creativity and innovation by bringing together individuals from varied background, knowledge, and skills. It broadens your perspective because it encourages researchers to step out their traditional box and get away from the disciplinary silos and consider alternative methods. And obviously, by doing so, it improves your research quality as well, because what data that you get is quality data, and it comes from different perspectives as well. And obviously it addresses the societal needs. So in today's world, healthcare is very complex. Unlike your aeronautic industry, or any other industries, the complexity of health, it's interesting. I go by the mantra is complexity is not to solve but to dance with. And it has helped me in many ways to kind of work and navigate through this complexity. Now, who does interdisciplinary research and why does it matter? So basically, for interdisciplinary to do, we're doing this because we need a solid grounding. People who have great skills in their own research sphere and expertise are the right people to do interdisciplinary research. So if I were to embark on a research project that contained like I might come through some examples in a little while. But if we had a research topic, and once you start thinking about who can I engage in this space, the people that you engage need to be quite an expert in their field. And one very important thing that you have to invest is you need leadership. So you need leaders who are not invested in a specific discipline, because then you come across what we call biasness as well. So everybody, I mean, we all come with our bias. It's called unconscious bias. But as long as we're aware of our biasness, that's fine. And as long as we declare our biasness, that's also very important for team connectivity. And you cannot know everything. So when people come into a collaboration such as that of a interdisciplinary research, you have to come with an open mind. In fact, when we collaborate, we have to come with, you need to keep your egos outside the door, and you need to kind of come in with an open mindset to learn and unlearn a lot of things. Say for instance, you may come across individuals who are really expert in the medical field or nursing field or allied health, but when they come together, they need to open their minds up to be able to learn from each other. And that's what's needed in this type of research. And it always needs to come with a spirit of collegiality, so that you feel inspired. And as a leader, you should promote an environment of learning. Now, why does this all matter? It matters because you bring in a holistic understanding. It allows researchers to gain a more comprehensive and holistic understanding of complex issues and integrate these insights from the multiple disciplines. It helps in innovations. The interdisciplinary synergy often leads to development of novel solutions and technologies, and also helps in maximizing resources. There are a lot of examples that may be around you where, when we work together, they say, teamwork makes dream work. So if you bring a team together, again, with a good leadership, you then maximize your resource. So if you are approaching, and again, this is towards institutions who have been pretty successful in having great research projects up and going and making it as business as usual through interdisciplinary approach, because you then are maximizing your resources. This is what we call value add. It's called high value, where the money that you spend or you sponsor towards a research, you have a higher value. You gain connectiveness, you gain networking, and you then have a synthesis of ideas. And as I talked about, transdisciplinary research, and it also helps in preparing for future leaders. Again, at the end of the day, research is not only about getting to know new, what's not there, and finding out what's there. It also is a pathway, it's a journey of leadership, because leadership is just not being like, I am the boss here. It's about leaders are the pinnacle of understanding your team, navigating conflicts, synthesizing information together, reporting, adapting, and having a vision. So by doing so, you are supporting, you are preparing for the future leaders. We can talk about some of the breakthroughs that have happened through interdisciplinary research. What you see today, for instance, medical imaging, genomics and precision medicine, nanotechnology, transplant medicines, etc. cancer research, palliative care, health informatics. These are some of the streams that have that have been born from interdisciplinary research. In fact, nanotechnology is it's an infusion of scientific branches from biology, chemistry, physics, and engineering. Similarly, you have health informatics that's come from data science and health combining together. As per when Gagan introduced me to what we call health informatics, that's a big, it's a huge science in itself, because moving forward we are moving away from paper-based electronic medical records, and we're moving into a digital space. So it's interesting why in the health system, to an extent we're still paper-based, but health informatics or and nursing informatics, medical informatics, these are very important science, and that will form an own stream in itself. In here we have what we call nurse informaticians, basically, who support with data science, etc. Something some more successful interdisciplinary research examples are in neuroeconomics, which has insights from economics, psychology, and neuroscience. And that helps in decision making process. So you're basically looking at how does the decision making process impact economic behavior. If you look at environmental sciences, it talks about ecology, geology, etc. Just going back a smidge back, basically, if you look at palliative care, very important stream, which which is a culmination of the medical specialty as well as nursing specialty in supporting palliation of patients, and giving them high quality of care, rather than the conservative management. And how do you support the next of kin? In fact, under palliative medicine, because I've done a little bit of that work as well, I'm not sure if the crowd knows that we have music therapy, and you would think, oh, how's music in this kind of field? But these are all little gems, basically, that get together to form and support the patients in their journey. So, how do we do interdisciplinary research? Now, this is a framework from the Durham University. It's a Challenge Academy matrix framework. As you can see, this is just an example. So, if you want to study something about pain, right? So, if you want to study something about pain, how would you do that? So, you basically have your vertical planks, horizontal planks. So you're looking at from a physical activity point of view, and you're looking at how does your brain, body, and behavior works from a physical perspective. How is it measured from a physical perspective? What are the groups, for example, women's health is very important. Men's health is very important. You talk about the youth, the frail and elderly, and the pediatrics. So you can then talk about, like, within, say, for example, you're looking at a particular, um, geography, or type of people. You're looking at a particular work. So that's how you kind of slice off some of the way we do interdisciplinary research. And to help you with that research, who are the experts you need to engage with? So those are the things that we need to start thinking about. Now, how do we do interdisciplinary research? So, in the beginning, you have to identify the problem. And at the end of the day, I remember, Einstein has said before that if you spend 99% of your time thinking about the right question, your answer will be very easy. So, very important that you come to the real issue, you kind of distill down. We always have, like, as researchers, we have a broad problem. So we come up with a broad question, but it's about how do you dissect your question, how do you bring it down, distill it to that concentrated form, so that then you can work on that question, and then you kind of build it up from there. So in the beginning, it's about identifying the problem. and then understanding the problem. So that's your journey, that you understand the problem. And sometimes as you embark in your research journey, you will be able to understand that this is not what you thought, because we always have a um, an assumption that this is going to be I know the problem. It's like when you go in researchers, you know that problem, and you're just doing a research for so that you can prove that there's a problem, right? But then as you unpack your research, you find out that there's more problems, or there are different problems than you first thought about. um, and in my research journey, this is how I've also kind of experienced as well. And it opens the doors to your understanding of research. And in fact, if you were to do interdisciplinary research, there's so much you can learn from each other. And that's a beauty, like when you do your doctoral studies, rather than going, yes, you are the responsible person. However, with when you embark on that journey, you then connect with people from other backgrounds. For instance, for my study, I end up connecting with say artificial intelligence. So AI is kind of a big thing in the modern age now. So how do you um, get support? How do you understand how AI can help you in your problems in the research issue in your healthcare system? Yeah. And towards the end, you create a solution, and you apply and reevaluate. Now, I don't know if many of you must have heard, we call what we call the PDSA cycle: plan, development, study, and act. So we all are in a PDSA cycle. It can be a big PDSA circle, or it could be a small one. Um, One of the examples, a simple example, is you're going to work, um, and you know that you get to hear from the radio that there's traffic jam. So what do? You reroute your traffic, and then you reroute yourself, and then you end up going to work. So it's all about PDSA. So you're planning, you're doing, you're studying, and then you're acting on it, right? So therefore, research is an iterative method anyway, for your PDSA cycle. You will find some challenges, so it's not as fantastic as I can say, but these are not impossible challenges. These challenges can be easily navigated through, but we need the right people, the right person. So some of these challenges include communication barriers. Now, especially if you're doing your research across, say, different countries, and again within different disciplines. Each discipline brings with itself, say, a jargon. For example, for instance, if I'm talking what we call, my language is, we're going to manage the management of COPD, which is chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. You kind of, you're talking to a social worker who is part of your interdisciplinary research team. So you need to break them all these acronyms down, so that you have, that language is a bit more transparent. You may have divergent goals. So my goal and my priorities as a nursing staff versus the priorities of a medical staff may be different in that sense, and their interests might be different. They may not have, they may you may have medical staff members or nursing or allied health who have different mindsets and what the goal should look like even. Again, integration of disciplinary perspectives is another matter to consider. um, Allocation of funding, and that's important for an institution. So if you have programs that support grant fundings, how would you maximize that money or that grant that's been funded? By What would be the end product? Yes, you will get a product, but there needs to be, you still need to have a ripple effect of that research as you move on, because it's again a PDSA cycle. It's not something that you could start, stop, because you then you come up with more information towards the end of it. And as I said to you earlier, leadership is so very important. Um, I cannot, stress more on the importance of leadership and decision making, because from a leadership perspective, it is, that person has got, will, require to have great leadership structure, and should be able to navigate through the power struggle that the team might be undergoing. Again, time and logistics. It's important to manage your deadlines, because you cannot have grants forever. It's very important that you manage your deadlines and have your deliverables, so that it's all there towards the end of the research project. Again, evaluation and assessment. Your traditional evaluation metrics perhaps may need to be reassessed again in this case. And institutional support and recognition. So it's important that, like many a times research projects, they don't get completed because of a lack of institutional support. How do you overcome this? So this is clearly, I mean, it may not sound rocket science, but it is very important that, it's important to have clear communication channels, and it has to be open and transparent. I always say to my team that there's no question that's a stupid question or a silly question. As a leader, if you give your team the permission to ask those questions, to just put their hand up and say, look, I'm concerned, or I have got this question, that's how you develop your team. Because once you have that kind of relationship with your team, if you don't have any barriers, that is a fertile ground for creativity. You need to provide opportunities to your team members to familiarize themselves, and be very proud of each other, because we're all equal in this space, but we all bring our discipline expertise. Again, at the end of the day, while we all bring that together, we as a team should have a shared goal and vision. Now, if you think about, going back to my previous slides, if you think about, say, transplant surgery or transplant medicine, imagine, like, now we are pretty much specialized in that space. We have, I don't know if you've witnessed a transplant, but you have the expertise of, say, you have hepatologists, gastro, you have cardio, you have pulmonologists, you have microbiologists, radiologists, nursing, and even within nursing, you have your nursing consult, you have your family debriefing, support for the family, and then logistics. See, you can see how beautifully this has been interwoven. And now we have, with all this coming together, we are in a position to provide care to patients from a transplant point of view. Again, how to overcome these challenges is like, from an institutional point of view, you could, it's adequate allocation of resources as well, promote flexibility and adaptability, because we, in this today's world, we don't know what complexity that's around the corner. When pandemic had hit, and that was a prime example, when COVID had hit the world, it was interesting to see how the red tapes had gone down, and we worked together for patient safety and for betterment of humanity. Vaccinations were sent across the world to support countries that weren't able to produce their own vaccine. So we should be proud on how we held together, and that's, although it cannot be classes, there are a lot of interdisciplinary research that's happening in that space as well. Again, you have to cultivate a supportive institutional environment. So if, as a researcher, you want to work on on a particular aspect, it will be great to get your institutional buy-in. Talk to your leaders, talk to your tutors, or whoever is in that a hierarchy, because what we call is the sphere of influence. At the end of the day, you might think, oh, my research is not good enough, but if you come as a collective, and you literally write down or you articulate exactly how your research is going to benefit, I'm sure your institution will support you in that sort of research. A little bit of my background. The why I've kind of showed this is the this kind of healthcare is a will be is a outcome of interdisciplinary research. Sorry, that's my team. They're not playing there, but that's a bit of a team building exercise that we've been doing. Again, in a microcosm, which is within the team, or in the macrocosm as a health stream, interdisciplinary collaborations they happen every time. If you're developing documents, you're developing clinical pathways, guidelines, and procedures, they all kind of add up to the bigger stream. And in my case, it's the virtual care. So just to give you a bit of a aside, so within virtual care, we have telehealth, which is basically, in simplistic term, having a video conference with your medical practitioner in the comfort of your own home. So with virtual care or hybrid healthcare, which is hospital in the home, you are providing hospital level care in the patient's own home. So you're taking the patient who's supposed to be conventionally treated in the hospital, you're putting them in the home, and you're bringing the hospital to the home of the patient. So you can provide IV antibiotics, ECG other than X-ray, ultrasound in the home, and all the general medications, management of heart failure, COPD, etc. But there's a lot to take in from this. So telehealth is one formality with the smart wearables. So this is what we say the future of healthcare will be, is now we have smart wearables coming through. So these are the some of the mechanisms by which we can continue to provide safe quality care in the patient's home. You got smart homes that's coming. I mean, now if you use that, if you have Hey Siri or what, Alexa, whatever, you can see how AI is influencing our daily lives. Again, combining that with the logistics of carrying out these practices through an interdisciplinary team, you then have a virtual hybrid care in the home. So this is a space that I'm working at the moment, or I'm quite interested in. Nevertheless, going back to our previous topic, is how do you have what are the tools to facilitate interdisciplinary collaborative research practice? And there are very many. I don't think we have never been so lucky, blessed, I guess, to be in this era where we have these amazing project management tools, we have amazing digital technology at our fingertips here. I mean, if you compare us this time to what, like when I was a student, we used to spend hours and hours going through different books, and going through even research to just get one reference as well. However, now we are in a really good space where we have project management tools to keep track of the progress of the team. We can communicate, so wherever we are globally, we are in a position to communicate to each other in a very, very timely manner. So again, some of the collaborative platforms we have, like video conferencing, Zoom, for instance, Microsoft Teams, so on and so forth, are many, many ways. And then there are many mechanisms within these platforms, like whiteboard, so on and so forth, so that you could collaborate. So really, there's nothing stopping other than ourselves, our minds, from undertaking research practices. You can data share, you can store and manage research research data very easily. You have varying reference management softwares that's available, including EndNote, including like Mendeley, and Zotara, so on and so forth. I'm not sure what is being used there, but there are we have in our repertoire a lot of reference management software to support us with data management. You can hold interdisciplinary workshops and seminars like such, where you can disseminate information, and that's another mechanism by which you can increase your networking, and you can there's cross pollination of ideas in these sessions. So we're almost coming to an end. So in conclusion, I would like to say interdisciplinary research is characterized by collaboration, innovation, and impact. It can drive transformative advances and create positive change in the world. It holds tremendous potential for addressing multifaceted challenges, and it comes with its own set of challenges, because at the end of the day, even though how many ever softwares or platforms you have, you're dealing with human emotions, yeah. And you really need, it cannot be overstated how important leadership is in an interdisciplinary research space. You can harness the power of collaboration across boundaries to drive innovation and solve complex problems. In this era when boundaries of knowledge are between knowledge domains are becoming increasingly blurred, interdisciplinary approach is one mechanism by which we can learn from each other, and what you put in forms a new learning. So what can the six blind men tell us? So in this picture kind of sums it all up. You know, if you are working with yourself, by yourself, you will see a problem from that particular angle itself. But if you work collaboratively, you will see the problem for what it is. Yeah. So thanks, everyone. So I'll just kind of finish this note by saying it is a type of research. It's a way of helping some of the people, some of the time, to changing the way of helping all the people all the time. So thank you so much for having me here. I hope you enjoyed.